Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG, where I have terrible news. I left my water somewhere else, but tonight we're doing Redraft Running Back Rankings. I'm Mike. That's David. That's Evan. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right, good enough for me. Let's just jump right into it. So I have another beautiful fake tier maker list, and we all have a word bank to choose from. This is just for 2025, just running backs, just redraft, PPR, none of the points per carry and other random stuff we have going on there. So without further ado, David, lead us off.
All right, first on the list, I don't think I'll get much feedback here. Saquon Barkley, S tier. He was the offensive player of the year last year. He's got the contract. He still is an elite offensive line, still has a quarterback that plays to his strengths, still has an unstoppable offense. I really don't see how anyone else could have the claim for RB1 right now in redraft.
That is completely fair. Is anyone worried about, everyone likes to throw out, oh, he had so many touches. Like, is there an opportunity for him to break down there? Evan, resident Eagles fan, any concerns?
Yeah, I don't have any concern. The offensive line is still elite, and Jalen Hurts is still probably going to vulture some touchdowns from him. The tush push did not go away, but needless to say, Saquon is here to stay, and 350 touches is well within the realm of outcomes.
All right. Who do you want to throw up there?
I mean, it's pretty clear it's Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't care about any kind of situation change.
Evan,
no.
You muted yourself.
He muted himself while lagging. But Jahmyr Gibbs, good at football. Is what I'm hearing.
Good at football. And before Evan muted himself, he mentioned that he's not worried about the situation change. I personally am. Gibbs, great player. Nobody denies that. But Ben Johnson's gone. He made that offense a lot more efficient than the raw talent that's there. Jared Goff is not a special quarterback. The weapons aren't all that great. The offensive line is good. But if we're looking at like someone who's probably not getting that peak efficiency anymore because the scheme's just going to be normal instead of godly, you're still looking at a guy who is in a snap share. It's probably not going to be what you want to be. He's an A-tier guy for me because of the talent, but I'm not putting him up with the S-tiers. I'm probably in the minority when I say that, but
I want to push back on something. You said the weapons aren't that great. I think the Detroit Lions have a top 2, top 3 set of weapons on their offense. Like
St. Brown and Williams?
St. Brown, Williams, Gibbs, Montgomery, Laporta. When you start talking about all of the pieces of that machine there, they're still in a dome. They still have a competent quarterback. I think they could take a small step back, but maybe the new coach gives Gibbs more touches because he's certified good at football.
We'll have to see. I think a lot of it is like there is talent there, but I think it's not nearly as good as it looked with Ben Johnson making everything so easy.
That's fair. We're going to keep him in the S tier because I think Evan and I are going to outvote you there. I'll just go ahead and I'll throw up Bijan Robinson. I don't know if anybody has pushback on that. Look, another guy good at football. The offense should take a step forward. It looked better with Penix behind them. Can it get worse than Kirk Cousins? Yes. Are we expecting it to be worse than Kirk Cousins? No. And as of right now, Kirk Cousins is still on the roster. So if Penix comes out and stinks, they do have a backup plan. This offense should still be humming in a fairly weak division.
And he put up great numbers with Desmond Ridder as a rookie. So I don't think Penix or Cousins is going to be worse than that.
Yep. All right, Evan, you got another name or are you still fighting in the shadow realm?
Oh, no, right. He's fighting in the shadow realm.
You're still fighting in the shadow realm. How about you restart your computer and David and I are going to work through the rest of this S tier. Are there other guys you want to throw up here, David?
This one's going to be interesting. How do you feel about putting Ashton Genty in S? Is that jumping the gun too much?
I love it. You know that we are primarily a dynasty podcast. So
I'm 100% fighting in the shadow realm. It's probably going to be that way.
Oh my God, Evan.
Go away. Be gone, Hunky.
Okay, so yeah, he was really fighting.
That was tough. But dude, it's Pete Carroll, It's an improved offensive line. It's an improved quarterback. There's a lot of ways that Genty just volumes his way there, and like we think he's good enough.
No competition for touches. The talent speaks for itself. And if you look at what all these like top 6 running backs, even guys in the top 10 like Robinson, what they do as rookies, it's incredible numbers they put up. He's pretty much locked into a top 10 season if history is any guide, and that's including lesser top 10 picks like Leonard Fournette. I think Genty's a lot better than Fournette. Maybe we're wrong about that. The scouting process isn't perfect, but I think this guy's fantastic. I think he's going to be an impact player right away. I have no problem putting him up in S tier.
I think he has a very safe floor. I don't mean this to just be like the Genty show, but Gibbs, Robinson, both top 15 picks, both finished top 12 as rookies. Najee Harris volumed his way there. We didn't even love Najee Harris that much. Josh Jacobs, all sorts of touches. Saquon Barkley, all sorts of touches. When you start Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, when you start looking at guys that were picked top 10, they finished top 12. So I'm fine with Genty there. How do you feel about one more name? So in ADP right now, I'll list this straight off of Fantasy Pros. It goes Barkley, Robinson, Gibbs. And then this guy that we just don't know what to do with because he's got to stop eventually, Derrick Henry. Do we think Derrick Henry keeps it going?
I've learned the hard way. Do not bet against Derrick Henry. Every metric in the world said this guy should have stopped a long time ago, and I will fully admit he had his first real big breakout the end of 2018, if y'all remember that. In 2019, I was betting against him, saying, "Oh, that's a fluke. We have 2.5 years of like average play. It's not going to keep going." 2019, he does it again. And then I say, okay, well, he had over 300 touches. He can't do it again. He did it again and again and again and again. Until I see Derrick Henry slow down, I just refuse to believe he will do it. He is the outlier. So I'm going to just ignore all the metrics that say he's going to stop because they should have hit years ago.
Yep. I'll just keep picking him until he retires. But I think that's the last guy in S tier. Is there anyone else you want to put up there?
I'd agree with that. Even then, Henry, I have a tough time saying completely S tier. If someone made an argument for A, I wouldn't fight against it.
Yeah, I think he's probably in his own tier where he probably finishes in the S tier or he gets hurt and completely ruins your season.
There's no way he'll be average.
What? This is going to be the one time that he does, but
just
I know. All right, let's kick off the A tier. Are there any names that just immediately jump out to you?
The one that I'm interested in is Bucky Irving. Liam Cohen's not there anymore. That sucks. But everything else is the exact same. They didn't add a running back in the draft, at least not one that matters. They might have drafted someone in the 7th. Rachaad White is just a pass-catching back. I do not care. Sean Tucker, complimentary guy. This is still Irving's backfield. It's still Baker running the offense. It's still the same weapons. Everything you want to see consistency-wise is still there. He crushed it last year. I see no reason to expect him to not do the same this year.
I think what's interesting about Bucky's game, like looking back at this game log, so we have 30% of snaps, 40% of snaps. One week he had 60% of snaps, but he only crossed 60 twice in 2024, and he finished as the RB13 on the season. What if the new coaching staff lets him play more?
Yeah. It's possible. He's their best back. And, like, Rachaad White is basically a glorified wide receiver. I really don't see why he should ever be on the field over Irving unless it's a very, very obvious passing situation.
Yeah, he's their pass blocking guru. That's what he's good for.
Yeah.
Let's throw another name up here. Jonathan Taylor. I know the Colts organization is not one that we want to buy into, but Jonathan Taylor as a talent is. It's volume, mobile quarterbacks, keeping a safe floor. He might not have the same check down equity for PPR that we're looking for, but he's going to rip off a couple of games where he has 2 long runs for touchdowns, and you're going to wish that you had him on your roster. It's going to be a weird up and down season for him because he doesn't have the PPR floor, but I think at season's end, he's going to finish somewhere in that 8 to 10 range.
Yeah, he's definitely not the most exciting player to have, but he's a good one. You're happy to have him. He'll help your team far more often than not. And frankly, he might be one of those values just because he's like a later career veteran nobody really wants to draft, but can still put up good points for you.
Yep. All right. Who's next?
Keeping it young, at least for my picks anyway, I'm going with a Kane, who I've never actually learned the proper way to pronounce it. I've heard like 15 different ways.
Achan, confirmed.
Achan, is that locked and loaded the right
confirmed.
way to
From the media guide from the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, Achan. What he did when Tua wasn't there is worrisome, or what he didn't do more likely. The production really dropped, but Tua's on the field. Mike McDaniel's still there. Will Tyreek Hill be there? Who knows? If he's not, they still have Waddle. I expect the offense will still be good. I think he's a little bit of a product of the system, but the system's still there. So, for now, A tier.
Yep, we'll take that. Big fan of HN. Let's see. Is the man, the myth, the Evan back?
Okay, I was trying to tell you to hold off for a second here, Mike.
Too bad you're in here.
One way or another.
But I guess I'm back from the Shadow Realm.
And you can respond very quickly to what he's asking. So
you sound great.
Okay, fantastic.
So who do you have now that we've filled out most of the A tier?
Oh, man, most of the A tier already gone. Derrick Henry is already in the S tier. Cool.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Breece Hall. Look, people think that the tackle situation for the Jets is worse than it actually is. I very much expect Breece Hall to put up a top 10 season. If he's healthy, look at the receiving game. He very well could be the second leading target earner in this offense because the rest of the wide receiver crew is absolutely putrid behind Garrett Wilson. Fields, I understand, probably isn't going to be dumping it off a ton, but designed swings, designed routes for Breece Hall to be able to run. And then maybe we play the game of Justin Fields and his running ability is able to open up additional lanes for Breece Hall, able to allow him to break off some larger chunk runs.
I'm sorry, who? We got to get him in a Jets jersey. But yes, I think Breece Hall is going to get some more chunk runs. The wide receiver two could be Breece Hall. It could be Mason Taylor. It could be Arian Smith. So do with that what you choose to.
It will not be Alan Lazard, though. We know that much.
Well, he's requested a trade, and then he's walked back the trade request. I'm going to go ahead. I still believe, I don't know if you guys do, Christian McCaffrey. How many times are you going to get a guy that could finish as the RB1 at RB9, 10, 11 prices? If he's not healthy, this pick is dust, and I'm deeply sorry. I am willing to take that gamble for where he's going in drafts right now because he could finish 50 points over the RB2, and that's a positional advantage I'd love to have.
Yeah, this is, if I've said it once on this podcast, I've said it 100 times. I have no interest in coming in fourth in my fantasy league. I want to come in first, and if I don't do that, I'm probably coming in last. CMC is a great pick for that because he's either winning your league or making it all but impossible to make the playoffs with where you're taking. Well, you're taking him in probably the second or early third. So at that stage, I'm more than comfortable rolling the dice on a guy who, hey, maybe does nothing for you, but if he does something, you're set.
And I tell you what, if you don't believe in Christian McCaffrey this year, not Jordan Mason, but Jordan James and Isaac Arendo, we don't know who the RB2 is there. Maybe it's a timeshare, but a timeshare in a Shanahan offense is more valuable than a lot of running backs. So they're severely undervalued right now because of some of that ambiguity there.
Yep, C tier, D tier, those two.
Cool. All right, David, it's back to you.
All right, I am probably done with the A tier, guys. Evan, Mike, do you have anyone else you want to
add? How do we feel about the volume king himself, Josh Jacobs?
100%. I was right there with you.
Okay,
right.
Then I'm going to be in the minority here because I'm not willing to put him in A, but I will let you guys do that.
I made too many memes about Josh Jacobs looking washed after he ran in the mud in Brazil. And, it was a perfect storm for him volume-wise. He was able to just every backup running back had a series of unfortunate events happen, but there's still a chance that Josh Jacobs gets 300 touches in a good offense. That's worth the swing.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of receivers in the offense to be able to pull people off of the run game. They invested some in the offensive line this offseason. You look at what Love could potentially do, spreading the ball around, keeping defenses horizontal, keeping them spread out wide. You talk all of that and put all of that together. Josh Jacobs, even if he has 300 carries, which would replicate what he did last season, I mean, you're still talking about somebody that's going to average over 4 yards a carry. And at that rate, that's over a 1,200 yard season just rushing. You pair that together with any kind of receiving profile, maybe 30 receptions, 35 receptions, which is relatively low for a top end running back. That just spells exactly what you want.
Sweet. All right, David. We crushed you for the A tier. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Other names that come to mind for A tier. Kyren Williams is still floating around out there. Chase Brown, 2 undersized day 3 running backs. But we have Bucky Irving here. So what's the case against those 2?
So one is just talent. I think Bucky Irving is a much better football player than either one of those. Chase Brown, he did it last year. Good for him. But he's not really built for that role in an extended circumstance. Is he going to be able to do it again, time and time again? I don't think so. He didn't look particularly special. It was more just he was there. Now that Zach Moss is back and healthy, I expect his workload to go down quite a bit more. And Kyren Williams is kind of the same deal. I don't think he's particularly special as a talent. I don't think it would take much for a year 2 Blake Corum or who's the name of the rookie 5th round guy they drafted?
Jarquez Hunter.
Jarquez Hunter. I think Williams is probably the best name in that backfield, but it wouldn't surprise me if one of those 2 guys ate into that workload a little bit more, whereas Bucky Irving, I think, is very clearly the best back in his offense.
Evan, how do you feel about that?
That's definitely a take. If anybody has taken a little bit of time to watch the Bucky Irving tape that I put out on his 2025 Dynasty value, obviously that's Dynasty, but I did hit on what I thought his 2025 season was going to look like. I very much think the volume of Kyren is going to just superiorly outshine Bucky Irving. Kyren is going to be ran into the ground this season. They are likely going to move on from Kyren after this season. And if you take all of that into consideration, why would they not just absolutely give him a king's workload to be able to get every carry out of his legs that they can before they let him walk in free agency as essentially a landmine?
Okay. And then Chase Brown, this tier or beginning the next year?
No, Chase Brown's the next tier. I have zero interest in Chase Brown in the A tier.
Matt Waldman from Football Guys, he did the rookie scouting portfolio. He had Taj Brooks as his RB2 pre-draft. Obviously, he didn't get the draft capital that you would expect from an RB2. But if Matt thinks that he's good, he's hit on a couple of late-round gems before. He said this Puka Nacua kid was pretty good. He said Kyren Williams was good. So if he says Taj Brooks is good, maybe he gets out there and steals some of the workload from Chase Brown. So we'll throw him in on the B tier now. Finally, David. Who's in the B tier?
Time for the least sexy running back alive, Joe Mixon. Nobody wants to
yeah, baby.
He's 10,000 years old, but he's the only running back worth mentioning in Houston. It should be a good offense, even with a poor offensive line. We know that he can take touches. He doesn't need to be efficient to keep getting the ball because he's never been efficient with it. So, yeah, just B tier, set him in your lineup. He's an unforgettable RB2, but he's not going to let you down.
When you said he's the only running back there, I saw Evan shed a tear for Woody Marks.
Surely we don't care about Woody Marks as anything more than a handcuff, do we, Evan?
No, we don't.
Worth a late round dart in Dynasty for redraft rankings. Don't worry about him yet. Evan, who else is in B tier?
It's the running back on one of the most dynamic offenses. Still one of the most dynamic offenses.
Caleb Johnson.
Yep. Yeah. You caught me right there, Mike. No, it's James Cook. Once again, going into a contract here, there haven't really been any major talks of him getting re-signed, which once again tells me, much like Kyren Williams, they very well may run him into the ground this coming season. You look at 207 carries from last year. Should that go up? Probably. Will he still have the touchdown volume of 16 rushing touchdowns that he had last year? That's probably gonna go down. But where are we at in this grouping, Mike? I mean, we're talking RB13, I think, is where Cook is in this grouping right now. If you're telling me that I can get somebody at RB13 that could produce a top RB10 season, why am I not taking that swing?
That's completely fair. I think touchdown equity goes away, but the pass catching upside and like who is the wide receiver one in Buffalo? Khalil Shakir? Maybe. So Cook's going to catch a couple of checkdowns there. Speaking of checkdowns, how about Alvin Kamara in the year of our Lord 2025? What's good for a rookie quarterback or a Spencer Rattler or a Jake Haener? A running back that can just catch the ball a million times. What is Alvin Kamara's best skill set? Catching the ball a million times. The offense is going to stick. You're not going to get a 6-touchdown Christmas Day. And I am willing to wager a lot on that. Now it's going to happen. But I think Alvin Kamara is going to PPR scam his way to another RB2 or low-end RB1 season.
Yeah, it will be the ugliest season you will ever witness, but, doesn't matter how you get the points in fantasy. All that matters is you get them.
You ever seen 85 targets to a 30-year-old running back? Let's ride, baby. Cool. David?
That probably does it for me for B tier. Do you guys have anything else?
Chuba Hubbard?
He was going to be my first C tier pick.
Listen, the backup running backs in Carolina do not excite me. I'm not the biggest Bryce Young guy, but he might volume his way there again.
Not a Dowdle fella?
No, I think Dowdle and ETN both have extreme vision issues. They're more explosive than Hubbard, but I think
ETN means nothing to me. But I think Dowdle eats into it just enough because I don't think he's great. I think he's better than present day Miles Sanders.
That's fair. Some of the other names that are floating around here: Kenneth Walker, Omarion Hampton. Those are the only two in ADP that we have skipped over so far. How do we feel about those two?
Hampton is probably one. I think Najee's going to get too much work early on for me to give him B tier. I think he's a fantastic player, but I think Najee is the veteran. He's a solid starter, not a great one, but he can get the job done. And I think that's going to keep Hampton on the bench for a team that's contending and wants someone who it definitely is going to understand the offense and not going to screw things up with rookie inexperience. Late season, wheels up, but the first few weeks, probably not going to do too much. I want more for a B tier guy.
Hampton's going to be in every trade article for the first month of the season.
Yes.
And I can't wait to write him. Kenneth Walker.
No. Charbonnet's still there. Charbonnet's still there. And look, Charbonnet is just as good as Ken Walker. I feel very strongly about that one.
Now,
did you feel that way 2 years ago when we talked about it?
What you feel? Do you think Seattle's coaching staff feels that way as well?
Look, I think it's going to be closer to 60-40, closer to 55-45 than most people want.
That is certainly a concern, and that's why we're doing this. And you shouldn't just go based off of ADP. You should use this as a cheat sheet. So we'll throw both of those names. You guys want them in the C tier, or all three of them, including Hubbard?
Yeah, I want all three in C.
Hubbard, Walker, and Hampton. All right, so we've started filling out our C tier. Evan, who else would you like in C tier?
How have we not talked about Aaron Jones yet?
Because he's 1 billion years old, and they traded for Jordan Mason, the GOAT.
Yeah, sure, they brought in Jordan Mason, but you're talking about one of the best offensive play callers in the league. You're talking about essentially a rookie quarterback. Yes, I get it, not truly a rookie, but for all intents and purposes, a rookie quarterback. You're talking about a wide receiver group that only got better, and they continued to invest in. And you're talking about one of the better receiving tight ends in the league, along with the fact that they prioritized offensive line in signing Will Fries and then also signing Ryan Kelly away from the Colts. Let's remember the Colts were one of the best offensive lines, and people still revere them as one of the better offensive lines. You pair that with what they currently and already had on the roster. I mean, the Vikings could have a top 3 offensive line in the league.
And we love to see that. Scoop up Aaron Jones.
No, I was low on Jones, but honestly, that sales pitch worked on me. I'm very happy with him, like where he is right there.
All right. Sounds like we're in. I'm going to name 2 guys back to back, and they're the exact opposite pitch of each other. David Montgomery, because I think the Detroit Lions, like we talked about earlier, yes, it's a new coaching staff, but I think the offense will still be good. They still play in a dome. They still have a Jared Goff-led offense. And we can draft Gibbs where we're drafting him and be excited about him. There's enough meat on the bone for Montgomery to still be good. On the flip side, Travion Henderson in New England, exciting, pass catching, could be Jahmyr Gibbs light like people have been talking about. I think that's a lofty expectation. But Drake May needs weapons, and there's no weapons in New England, so why not use their best pass catcher more often than we expect? So any complaints with either of those guys in the C tier?
So with Henderson, my biggest concern is Mike Vrabel's the head coach. He is like the definition of an old school, like hard-nosed player. I think Travion Henderson is a better running back than Ramondre Stevenson. I do not expect him to get most of the work. I think it's still going to be Stevenson next year, and these are just redraft rankings we're talking about. So I think it's going to be Stevenson's show. I think Gibson is still there, still a good pass catcher. He's going to get some work. I don't think Henderson's going to get that many touches, especially early on in the season. I think it's going to make everyone mad, and I don't think Mike Vrabel's going to really care.
I think he's going to have 3 pass blocking reps, and Vrabel's going to love him. He's going to be like,
That's entirely possible. I mean, they might play him at left tackle once they realize they drafted a guard 4th overall, but...
Oof. All right. So complaints about Montgomery?
No, CT is good for that. No complaints here.
All right. So at least put Montgomery in. Evan, can you be the tiebreaker for Henderson?
As sad as it is to say, I don't think Henderson makes that list.
Agree with me.
No.
Yeah. I think Henderson's going to start out slow, and I think that's going to have a lot of detractors. I think it's going to take away from his overall total production. Now, Henderson is the type of piece that you want to draft and redraft, knowing that you're going to be able to have guys at the beginning of the season that are going to carry you, because Henderson could very well in the latter half of the season carry your running back room.
See, that I can agree with, but it's kind of the same case for Hampton, except the difference for me is New England's offense isn't nearly as good as Los Angeles. Hampton's a better player, first-round draft capital, so the risk is a little bit higher with Henderson, and the ceiling's a little lower. He'd be a great D-tier pick for me.
Well, that makes me sad. Twitter's going to be very mad at you guys. All right, David, who you got next?
I'm going back to C-tier for a second with James Conner, which it's fantasy. We chase volume. We hope efficiency follows. James Conner's still a good player. Yes, he's older. Cardinals offense, fine, I guess. Nothing too special. But Trey Benson, we talked about it in our Dynasty episode on him, didn't do much of anything as a rookie. Frankly, didn't give us too many signs to believe there's anything like bright in his future. The Cardinals didn't draft a running back. He has that going for him, but everything else did not look good last year. So there's no real competition for Conner. I expect another high-volume season. Probably not the most efficient, but who cares at, RB 20-ish.
Very fair. I'm a big fan of Conner, both for redraft and for Dynasty, because he just signed that extension, and he doesn't look like he's slowed down. He's aging like fine wine over in Arizona. Evan, who you got for either C or D tier?
Yeah, Conner was who I was going to bring up here as well. So we'll pivot here to the rookie running back that's getting a bunch of steam right now. Has been getting a bunch of steam since
Caleb Johnson. Thank you.
Since the beginning of everybody talking about their takes after the draft. And it is RJ Harvey. I would also put him in the D tier with Henderson. Yeah, not Judkins. Sorry, Mike.
All right.
Yeah. You talk about somebody who get a pass catching role. You talk about somebody who has basically zero competition in that backfield, and you pair them with Sean Payton. I mean, it's a total wild card pick. Harvey could be just very mid, or he could absolutely pop off, which is why I have him in the D tier, because you don't quite know what you're getting. You haven't seen a single snap at the NFL level. He's played plenty of college football. If you think he needs to play more college football, then please refer back to 2021, I think, tape on RJ Harvey in college. So he can do all of that. He can do what Sean Payton wants. Obviously, they invested the draft capital in him, so they should be using him heavily in this offense.
I think there's a world where we draft him in the C tier and he is the like high risk, high reward kind of player. There's a world where he finishes top 10. There's a world where he finishes RB 40 and he has a frustrating timeshare with Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin. Like Sean Payton likes his backs to do exactly what he wants them to do. He has had a history of reeling in some of those wild cards. When we talked about Harvey pre-draft, he wants to bounce it to the outside. He wants to get to the edge. He wants to be the fastest player on the field. And he was at UCF. It's a little different in the AFC. So I have no complaints with him in D tier. I would probably put him in C tier.
Personally, he's D tier for me too, just because really the only case you have for him is opportunity. Second round pick, fantastic. No real starter in Denver. We love that. But when you look at RJ Harvey as a player, outside of Denver, I'm not sure anyone thought he was a second round pick. Like he played up to that talent. Just about every metric out there says it's not going to happen for this kid. The film doesn't look much better. So it is running backs. A lot of times just having the opportunity is all you need, but I can't justify a higher spot just based on what we've seen from him in college. And there's nothing obviously in the NFL to suggest it'll be different because he hasn't played yet.
All right. Can I give you guys one more pitch for C tier? I already filled in the name and then I had to delete it. Who would be surprised if Quinshon Judkins got 280 carries in Cleveland?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
They're going to be behind.
They're going to be behind.
I think the whole game script thing's a little overrated. Like, yes, it does matter, but like, I still think, yeah, I'm fine with C tier with him. He's a good player, generally considered to be a top 4 back in the class. Most people had Henderson above him, but regardless, still like very talented guy. There's no real starter there. Jerome Ford, I'm sorry, you're just a guy. Judkins should be able to beat him out fairly easily. The offense is terrible. That's my big red flag.
Yep. I will say pass rate over expected. The Browns were in the bottom 6 in the league, and that was with, better quarterback play, maybe still bad. Like
Winston is better than what they have now.
Yes. So I think Stefanski's going to want to establish it. They drafted Judkins to establish it. Yes, they drafted Samson a little bit later, but I think it's going to be the Judkins show on volume alone, and then maybe the Browns surprise us for the first time in the 21st century. So sounds like we got a C tier because I finally have backup. But
yeah,
David, who else would you like in D tier?
In D tier, let me take a look at the cheat sheet here. Got yeah, it's not a fun pick, but I guess Tony Pollard. Same argument.
C or in D?
Oh, D tier. I'm done with C tier.
All right. I think we're all done with C tier. Pollard, yeah, that's a fun bet to make. But why?
Yeah. Starting running back on a bad offense, do we need to say more?
Heck yeah. And Cam Ward refused to throw to Damian Martinez, so hopefully he throws it to Pollard more. I don't know. He's fine. Evan?
Let's see. I mean, look, as much as I'm not a fan of him, you still have to talk about Kenneth Walker at some point.
Oh my God, I forgot about him.
He's right here.
Oh, okay. All right. Already missed him. That's on me right there. Okay, we'll move down to Bijan Robinson. Explosive offense, high-powered offense, should have touchdown potential chances. Yeah, there's really no other running backs in this offense that are worth rostering in redraft. Bijan Robinson is that bench running back that hopefully you're drafting to be able to fill in for your starters when they're on a bye week, just to be able to keep you relevant and give your other players a chance to win you the week. He's nothing sexy.
He does play. It wouldn't surprise me if he was RB23 on the season if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Not good, but just healthy and available.
Low end RB2. Very unexciting, but, never going to hurt you.
Yep. I think we have gone through 30 of 32 starting running backs. I'm going to put in the 31st, DeAndre Swift. Did the Bears do anything to address the running back position that scares you?
Not yet, but J.K. Dobbins is still a free agent.
He is still lurking.
If Dobbins is there, he's starting.
Maybe, but Swift is a better pass catcher. We've seen Johnson use pass catching running back. We've seen him use specifically DeAndre Swift. As much as we like to make the jokes that he hates him, he's starting. He has a skill set that fits the offense. He's experienced in the system. He might catch 30 to 40 passes and be RB19 in PPR leagues. He also might get benched because Ben Johnson hates him.
I think it might be time for your boy, Mike. Type it in.
Oh, baby. Wait, sorry. We've covered this is 31. There's still one more. We're underrated.
There's two more, but one of them doesn't deserve a mention for a while.
Oh, that's sad. All right. So, yeah. Sell me on Caleb Johnson.
He exists. Third-round draft capital. Jalen Warren is a fine complimentary back. Probably not a starter. Give him the 1-2. I think Johnson's going to get the more valuable role. I think the offense is going to be garbage, but who cares because he's getting touches.
Guys, I didn't think that I was going to be the one arguing this. I think Johnson should be down a tier.
Wow.
Do you want 60% of touches in one of the worst offenses with a bad pass catching skill set? Or do you want 40% of the touches in a bad offense with a good pass catching skill set, aka Henderson and Harvey?
I guess that's why Johnson's at the very back of D tier, but if he's the cutoff threshold between D and E, then yeah, I guess you could put him in E.
Evan, D or E?
No, he's E.
E? Down one?
Yep.
All right. Boom. I got back up twice in a row. This is a new record for me.
Hey, we're not just here to yell at you, Mike, and tell you how bad at fantasy football you are. We're here to support you and build you up every once in a while.
Well, we got two more starting running backs, allegedly. Who wants to name them and see if they're in the E tier or not?
Evan, your turn.
Lovely. All right, so we have whoever the Giants starting running back is. That is a huge question mark. Probably going to be Scatterbo by the end of the season. Scatterbo. Tracy, who knows? I think Tracy is left for dead at this point. I wouldn't be wasting a pick on him. I'd be taking, honestly, Zach Charbonnet before I'd be taking Tracy.
Wow.
Just because I know that when Kenneth Walker gets hurt, Charbonnet will step in and be able to take that lion's share and be able to turn it into 12 or 13 points per game for your fantasy team. And then we still have the Chiefs running back.
It is technically Pacheco.
Yep. Might be Kareem Hunt.
As much as I have tried to will it out of existence, Isaiah Pacheco is still the starting running back for one of the best offenses in America. Stop running into your guards, please. Please.
Hey, good for him.
And you still forgot about one offense.
No, I know which one you're thinking of, and I have not forgotten about them. I just don't think he's E tier.
I do think, guys, this is either going to bite us in the butt or be one of the greatest call your shots ever. Travis Etienne, Michelle Tuden, Tank Bigsby.
Oh, that's not even the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, Lord, we're missing a lot.
That's the offense.
Yeah, who is it?
Great question. Etienne, because I've seen what he did at Clemson. I've seen what he's done in the NFL. Dude just needs to stay healthy and just needs to be able to get the ball.
All right. We'll see.
I'm a Bigsby truther over ETN, but not enough to put up a fight. Just Jaguars running back E tier.
Ugh. Jaguars running backs are absolutely disgusting. If you're drafting any one of them to be anything more than a bench player for you all season and hopefully never have to start them, I'm sorry. You screwed up. Please come watch our channel for more advice on what running backs to draft.
Guys, I think
it's officially time for the 32nd best starting running back in the NFL in F tier. Javonte Williams is still out there.
Man, I was way off when I said 30 earlier. Yes, Javonte does play football.
Technically, if you want to call it that.
More than we do, and that's important. Yes, that's good. Let's throw in a couple of our favorite handcuffs. Warren, Spears, White, Dowdle.
We skipped over Najee. He's probably E tier for me because he's going to be starting. He's going to be getting a decent workload at the very least
to start the season.
Yeah.
He's going to be the classic guy. You draft him, you say, look, he beat out the first round rookie, and then you trade him.
Trade him to the dumbest person in your league.
Yes.
Or Najee's the perfect one to just absolutely tap with Henderson and just think Henderson's going to be there at the end of the season. Najee's going to be there at the beginning of the season and try and figure out those middle couple games.
Yeah. Chargers starting running back will be valuable in fantasy football. The trick is picking which one's starting that particular week.
Yep. And that'll be fun to balance throughout your season. Any other handcuffs we want to mention? So we've already covered, Ramondre Stevenson needs to be covered in here somewhere. I think Jordan Mason deserves a call out in F tier.
Yeah, Mondre's F tier for me. He's going to start for a bad offense behind a terrible offensive line, and he's pretty awful himself. So,
all right. Evan, are there any other backups that you would really want to draft?
No, you hit the nail on the head. Spears had the receiving profile last year, but Cam Ward doesn't like to check it down. So that's going to absolutely nuke Tajay Spears unless Tony Pollard gets hurt, which he's been relatively durable these last couple seasons. Relatively.
I was looking back at the fantasy playoffs last year, 4 straight weeks, top 12 running back, Tajay Spears. My sweet prince.
Sure.
But all right.
It's a running back. All he needs is the opportunity.
Yep. If you are on audio only, I am not going to go back through and read all of these. If you are on YouTube, I'm just going to scroll while we close out so you can see everything. But if you want the screenshot, head over to Twitter. Follow me at FFMikeCash. Follow Evan running the FFRPG pod channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to say hi to your moms. I hope they all had a lovely Mother's Day. Fellas, do you have anything else to say about running backs in 2025?
Have fun. Enjoy the position.
Fun. Stay healthy.
Just draft the good players to stay healthy. Football's easy. Thanks, guys. Have a go.
Bye,
guys.
Evan, I love you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.